Good morning and good evening to you all. I hope you're having a pleasant day or night, wherever you may be located. My name is Joe, and I'd like to explain the importance of digital technology for prisoners upon re-entry into rural and remote communities. As you know, technology is important to us all. It's part of our everyday lives and it's evolving at a rapid rate. So for those that are released from prison, particularly those that spend lengthy sentences inside, walk out into a world that is rather foreign, and they lack the necessary digital skills to survive within society. Let me explain some of the factors that contribute to prisoner re-entry and why digital tech matters. For those of you that haven't heard the tale of Rip Van Winkle, it's about a man that wanders into the forest where he was tricked into drinking a bottle of enchanted alcohol by a group of dwarves. He falls asleep and awakens 20 years later as an old man, being left behind in the world. The major theme of this story is about one's ability to move forward and about being left behind in a changing world. This story is somewhat relevant to the effect that prisoners can experience. Imagine spending 10 or even 20 years behind bars and walking out into a world where everything has changed. This term is referred to as the Rip Van Winkle effect in psychology and has been used interchangeably to explain the effect that prison can have on those re-entering society. One major issue is the lack of educational programs in prison to keep prisoners up to date with the skills necessary to use digital tech and internet applications. If prisoners were equipped with the skills needed to function in a society that is increasingly reliant on digital tech, many obstacles would be overcome that are mainly hindered by the geographical expansiveness of the rural setting, such as the ability to apply for government benefits, employment, housing, attend telehealth appointments, and create new healthy social bonds, all at the click of a button. Due to the lack of public transport infrastructure in rural and remote areas and the large geographical distances that need to be covered, digital technology and the internet is needed for the basics to successfully transition rural prisoners back into society. Firstly, a parolee needs financial assistance to afford the basics such as food, shelter and transport. And they may need to apply for Centrelink benefits, which is much easier online rather than travelling expansive distances to do so. Without transport, they may be unable to adhere to parole conditions, in turn facing the stress and harms of the court process, and worst case scenario, end up back behind bars. The internet can also be used to search for employment, which should be the primary focus of a parolee, considering it will enhance their quality of life. It is also used to search for housing and rentals, and this is particularly important in rural and remote areas, considering the distances that need to be travelled to inquire in local communities and real estate agencies. It also opens up the options of looking for private rentals and housing listings on websites such as Gumtree or Domain.com. There are also a high percentage of prisoners returning to society that have drug and alcohol disorders. Therefore, they're required by the court or just need to attend health and counselling services. And in rural areas, the use of online telehealth services are increasingly being used for medical and counselling sessions, which is beneficial in the treatment of those with drug and alcohol disorders and to overcome the obstacle of transport and the geographical complications. But to do this, knowledge of how to operate certain apps and devices are essential, and this can be somewhat problematic. There is also a need for prisoners to establish healthy social networks and move away from past criminal acquaintances and associations. This is an obstacle in rural areas due to the low population and the lack of social gathering establishments. And it is for these reasons that ex-prisoners often fall back into the wrong crowd and their old ways. In a world that's increasingly using social network platforms for meeting new people, dating, and even gaming, it is important for the individual well-being of prisoners to be equipped with the knowledge of apps and websites to forge new, healthy social bonds. Due to their lack of knowledge of digital tech and the absence of prison preparation for re-entry, prisoners generally rely on their younger family members to help with tasks associated with its use. This decreases autonomy and creates a feeling of hopelessness and can have a negative impact on the individual well-being of a person that's already paid their dues to society. Studies show a need and desire by inmates to acquire the skills to use digital technology, and teaching prisoners to use digital tech before re-entering society will not only benefit them and their family, but it will reduce the rate of recidivism, which will also increase public safety and reduce the cost that is associated with incarceration. It seems only fair that training is employed before re-entry due to the unequal justice that is experienced by rural ex-prisoners and the barriers that are uniquely faced in rural and remote locations. Thank you for watching, and for more information on digital technology and the internet and the effects it has on prisoner re-entry into rural and remote areas, follow the links provided.